Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central. Friday it is, and we are back on the air. Yes, like I always say, like we never left. Hope you're doing great. Hope you had a wonderful night rest. Some parts of the country, people say they don't like hearing, hope, how was your night?
It was dark and
Bing,
lovely.
how was your night?
It was dark and lovely, yes, because you sleep in the night, you have a sound sleep, and it's dark, the lights are out, and you sleep. So it's good to be here. Welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Benga Aborowa. Joe, you sounded a bit too excited. Is it because it's Friday? Are you trying to tell the viewers that you are happy that it's the weekend and you won't see them for 2 days? It's not nice.
Benga, let me say this here. I'm always sad whenever it's Friday.
Yeah.
I'm very sad. Right now, I'm sad. I'm sad because...
Why are you sad?
I'm going to... this is the last episode for this week and the month. And I'm not happy. Benga, because I want us to increase Olive. I'm thinking of us increasing.
No, don't say it, please. It's okay.
I agree with him.
It's okay. Let's not.
And I think they should also cancel leave. We should do this show 365.
I don't know who these men
We're
are.
passionate about what we do.
We love what we do.
What they're saying do not represent the interest of myself or majority of us here at News Central Television. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Olive, how was your night?
My night was good.
Was it dark and lovely?
It was soft and beautiful, and it was okay. That thing, I don't know why people take offense in it. Now, who they are like that they ask how was your night?
Okay.
I don't find it offensive.
Please,
I don't know why people find it
another
offensive.
thing I don't want is tomorrow is the beginning of a new month.
Happy New
Don't send me
Month.
Happy New Month.
You
I
get
have calendar.
You get 12 midnight. You must
The banks love you.
You must receive the Happy New Month.
No, banks. I don't think banks do it.
Anyway,
it's your
some
birthday.
banks used to do it. They just stay on the birthdays only, but they used to do it.
But they should be gifting us for birthdays.
it's obviously my favorite day of the week for obvious reasons. But today's Friday is a soft and mellow Friday because energy levels, we're trying to kick them up. A lot has happened in the past 24 hours. We're talking about it. There's been a one-woman protest that has been in the news. She's gotten her bill. Her bill has been approved by the magistrate. We'll talk about that. And there's still accusations being leveled against the Minister of Works. But so much really has happened in the past 24 hours, and it's our duty to bring it to you here on Breakfast Central. My name is Olive Emode. We're streaming live on YouTube. And YouTube is very important because that's where we take your comments, your contributions, and your objections as well are very welcome. News Central TV Live is where we're streaming on YouTube. Joe, you want to tell us
I just
about
wanted to say
how the roads were this morning? I know you applied for the first time.
In a long while.
Forever, the Aja Lekki Ekpe Express.
Yes.
How was it?
Yes, it was just there.
You don't feel like
No potholes. Are there road markings?
So they've abandoned from Aja down to. They just started the work from Chevron.
Oh,
Really
I thought it
after
was up
Chevron.
until Aja.
No, they
No,
said
for
Aja
now.
is later.
Okay.
Then from Chevron all the way to, of
Like
course,
if it's one?
Lekki Phase 1.
But
And
they
that's
do
all,
both
only on one
sides?
side. No, just one side.
Oh, one side.
Just
So
one
why the excitement? The governor put up
Yeah, the
an
governor put
Instagram
up
post.
it's just one side.
And they haven't even done the road markings. They're not complete. And the environment
There's
is
no road markings.
The environment is dirty. There's grass in the middle
Exactly.
of the road. We need to start standardizing things.
I had to ask
So I was
because
asking,
we saw
what's
the
the standard?
celebration yesterday, and I'm just thinking, okay, since you applied the role yesterday, what's the state of things today? Let's know. But it's very important that we continue to talk about these things because it caused a huge inconvenience for those roads to be shut at different points. Traffic the past few weeks have been hellish for those who live on the island. So we want to see the dividends of what has been done. But I haven't seen them personally, so I cannot speak to it. That's why I was asking.
And it's an ongoing project. I think maybe we should wait
Those in
till they
trenches.
finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to other issues now. The Senate Committee on Electoral Matters has recommended an additional 30 billion for the Independent National Electoral
30
Commission.
BG.
30 BG for the account, yo.
Raising the budget from 873.78 billion to 903.78 billion. When I saw The Guardian reporting this, I really like the editor of The Guardian. I don't know who that person is. The person said it smacks of religious... I need to look for it. I'll look for it before we finish this story. But this Lawmakers have said that this boost will strengthen logistics and operational capacity ahead of the 2027 general elections.
They should
Meanwhile,
round it up to 1 trillion. The 97 billion, they should increase the salary of the ad hoc staff, the NM.
They should also do a round
NYSC,
figure.
round figure. Round it up
Makes
to
sense.
1 trillion.
Anyway.
And yet you can. Olive, don't read this story.
no, I have
cannot
to. I have to let our audience
Yet
know.
you cannot do real-time
You can't do real-time transmission. You're collecting 1 trillion naira.
We have to let our audience know. That
Yet
President Bola
you are
Tinubu,
still
Oshe?
uploading mutilated sheets.
Sheets.
He hosted
So,
senators to a closed-door Ramadan iftar at the presidential villa in
Again?
Abuja. The gathering blended religious
senators
observance
is that.
with quiet political consultation, coming just 2 days after a similar meeting with state governors. That's what Benga said again. Now in Lagos, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Agbakoba, renewed calls for urgent electoral reforms, stressing that electronic transmission of results must be expressly backed by law to safeguard integrity, and in a sharp intervention from former INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye dismissed concerns about poor network coverage,
Would they have said
insisting every polling unit in Nigeria has internet access. He emphasized that INEC devices can store results offline and automatically transmit them once connectivity is restored. Is this not what we're saying?
I agree with
Is
Mr.
this not the
Festus
same
Okoye,
thing?
but has the ship not sailed for Mr. Festus Okoye and Olisa Agbakoba?
Mr. Festus Okoye, I think it was a bit surprising because during the elections at that time, you had gone on many shows,
Yeah,
including ours,
as an insider.
you know, and had given us a lot of assurances. So when we started seeing, he was also part of the people that came to tell us about the glitches, the technical glitches. So I don't understand, you know, many are wondering why he's speaking a lot more now that he's not at the seat, in the seat of power. You know, it's anyway.
And also, it seems, Mr. President, I mean, this Ramadan, he's fraternizing with governors. This time around is with senators. When is he going to sit down with journalists to
And the
have
people.
iftar?
And the people. And the people, Benga. When
That's
is he
a
going to
good
have
question.
Yes.
a press
Yes,
briefing?
people would meet the president.
It's turn by turn. State governors was first, senators was 2 days later. So maybe along the line, he can't sit
Assembly,
with
House of
everybody. So
Assembly.
it's step by step. Everybody,
Of
wait
each
your
state,
turn. It will
36
touch
states.
everybody. I really did want to.
But let me also say this here, in case our viewers don't understand what we're saying here. INEC is asking for an extra 30 BG from 873 billion naira. INEC is saying add 30 billion on top.
Did they ask, or the Senate is giving them? Because
Senate is
sometimes the
saying-
Senate used to be
Senate,
Father Christmas.
the Senate
Remember
is-
the
yes,
State
the-
House
Yes.
people, when they came, they said, no, it's not worthy of us, so give them more money.
Yes. And this is coming on the heels that INEC has rescheduled the election date. Those who were thinking it was going to start February, they've moved it now to January.
Because of Ramadan.
Yes, so January 16, a presidential election will hold, and then February 6, you have governorship and state assembly, House of Assembly will hold. So January 16, February 6.
It's too early though.
They might have to move it again.
No.
Like
because
it's too early in the
there's
year.
even AFCON.
We're just starting the year, next
No,
in
what's it
election.
concerned? INEC with
AFCON.
AFCON now.
People like to watch football.
No,
I beg. January is when I don't like to be around,
I think the problem
though.
is this 30 BG they're asking for. I don't understand why INEC is asking. The question I want, wait, hold on. Didn't INEC do
Their
their
homework.
internal audit and calculation and memo?
Good.
They did all of that. They took their time to, in short, Professor George Amukwita took time, I like to call that his surname, Amukwita, you know, the N is silent, took time to look at this internally. All of a sudden, the House of Assembly says, you know what, you just need 30 billion to add so that you can do more logistics. I'm wondering, so we're wrapping it up to 900 and something billion. And like Benga said, just make it 1 trillion. But the biggest question is, in all of this money you're collecting, over 260 million Nigerians, a country that is highly sophisticated and most watched and most celebrated when it comes to technology across Africa and also part of the world.
Yeah, look at our banking system.
You are now saying
Instant
that
payment.
after we collected that heavy money,
We
no
can't.
vex, so we will not transmit live. What happened to transmission room? Third Mainland Bridge gulped how much, Benga, again? You said you call
$22
it
million.
$22
$40
million.
billion.
That's how much?
40 billion. naira.
40 billion to do a monitoring
11
room.
kilometers.
Okay, so collect this 30 BG now and use it to set up the real-time monitoring point of correction. And just to make matters clear, what we're saying here as journalists and those who are following this story is that You cannot collect so much money
and give little.
To whom much
It's
is
not
given,
balanced.
much is expected.
And also, let me remind us that the day we did a deep dive and breakdown of INEC's budget, there were ridiculous line items that should have gone for further scrutiny.
Like the
for
health
example,
one.
like miscellaneous.
What was
miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous running into billions. Is that not going to be a conduit for corruption if you're not going to account for it? How did you arrive at that miscellaneous
So I'm going to
that runs into
I'm going to also toe the line.
And then on top of that, you give them extra 30
So what's 30 billion for?
Logistics, to ensure that there is no logistical
Guys, if
issue.
I don't come to this work on Monday, just
don't
know
go by
that I've
form.
joined INEC, multi-D election officer, because there's money there.
So the thing is, I want to toe the line of Joe as well, right? First of all, how have we fared with budget implementation when it comes to electoral matters in the past years? Can we go back to look at 2023 election and see the implementation of that budget? What was dispensed? How was it dispensed? Has there been a thorough vetting of the monies that were released for the 2023 elections? It's something that we see happen across board, not just with INEC, but with state governors, with the presidents. We don't see a follow-up. We don't see budget performance reviews to see how well we fared with that budget. So if we do not know how well we fared with the 2023 budget, we're going to repeat the same mistakes we made in 2023 in 2027. That's one. Two, did INEC not do enough diligence before, just like Joe spoke about, before coming to defend their budget? How come it is now the Senate that Senate's Committee on Electoral Matters that says, oh no, you need extra 30 billion. This one is not enough for you. Did they not do a thorough enough job? Do we not have the right hands there that would have been able to present the budget? It's just like in my family or in Joe's family, Joe knows how the family is being run. Is it me that will come and advise Joe, no, remove this, add more money to this one, add more money to that? Something seems to be missing there. But above all, the most important thing is that Nigerians have complained election year in, election year out about the quality of the elections that we offer. And it's an important conversation to have because the quality of any country's democracy is rated by how the country perceives their election to be free, fair, and credible. And the majority of Nigerians don't seem to align with a huge number, let me not call it majority, a huge number of Nigerians don't seem to be able to align with the quality of elections that we currently offer, where we are thinking that MKO's election is the most free, fair, and election that we've ever had, and yet we're in 2026. So is INEC guaranteeing us that if they get this extra 30 billion, even with the one that was allocated before, that the elections will be free, fair, and credible? And if the elections are on the face of it not seem to be free, fair, and credible, whose head will roll?
I mean, it's one thing to throw money at something. It's another thing to use the money judiciously. It'll be nice to know where the National Assembly saw the gaps and where they believe this extra 30 billion should go to.
And where is the money coming from?
Where is the money coming from?
Where is the money coming from?
Taxpayers' money.
Yeah, they say it's logistics.
Is it in terms of,
They
it's
said
logistics?
yes,
Logistics was already
in that
the budget.
Maybe the
and then logistics is
logistic
wide.
enough.
I mean, they need to give us specifics.
Binga,
Because what is the point of doing an almost 1 trillion naira elections if you're not going to guarantee safety? If the turnout is going to be low, you need voter education.
Money?
You need, if you're not going to guarantee the freeness and fairness of the elections, what's the point of spending almost 1 trillion?
So let me read a few of the things. So they said the Senate's committee suggestion to top this up by 30 billion reflects an acknowledgement that one, Nigeria's election spans thousands of polling units nationwide, including remote and hard-to-reach areas, requiring transport, security, and personnel costs. Two, the cost of printing and distributing PVCs, transporting election materials, hiring and training ad hoc staff, and deploying technology infrastructure is rising. So at the end of the day, they're trying to ensure that INEC does not have a reason to come and say that they can't deliver the mandate of free, fair, and credible elections. But we've been talking enough. We need to take what Nigerians are saying.
Go on. That's what I said.
Let's quickly head. But while we're at it, go on YouTube. We're streaming live, News Central TV live. Go on YouTube and drop your comments about what you think about the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters proposing 30 billion extra for INEC. But let's head to X quickly and see what Nigerians are saying about this on X.
Reboot Nigeria says Mahmoud's INEC used over 300 billion naira to conduct an election that produced these results. The new INEC chairman, Amopita, no, it's not Amopita. Joe, could you please correct him?
Amopita.
Thank you so much. Amopita is demanding 1 trillion naira, almost 1 trillion, to conduct another election that will produce more mutilated election result sheets. Nigeria is not a country, but a planet on its own. Geographically, that is wrong. Nigeria is a country, not a planet, but I get your drift. Abiola Oshodi says, INEC keeps demanding billions while Nigerians keep getting sham elections. What changed since the last cycle that suddenly justifies extra billions again? We haven't forgotten how under Mahmoud over 300 billion naira was spent and Nigerians still got a process many calls deeply flawed. It's a 3-time increase. I mean, times 3.
Times 3. If you minus that, it's
Bjorn Ironsid says, for elections we're not even proud of, then go still do wayo. No transmit result. Why can't we release this type of money for education or health sector every 4 years? If we don't make good money by now, it has a point there. Dafe Oyufa says, India and Brazil, with bigger populations in geographical size than Nigeria, uses less funds to conduct their credible general elections. I mean, India has a population of 1.5 billion people. So I need to fact check that. You know, I tend to doubt that. But what's so peculiar with Nigeria's general elections that warrants the use of this amount, says Dafe Oyufa. Seraph Sachs says all the money is only to write election results with biro. He's referring to the mutilated sheets. Toba Truth says, please give them the national treasury. Say, exactly, take everything.
Benga, I just want to say this. I just want to say this very quickly. I think Nigerians should resist this 30 billion. Nigerians should resist it. And it's so sad that Nigerians may resist it. The Senate will still pass it.
I mean, it's too late.
Remember
that
the issue
ship has sailed. Yeah.
So they should resist it.
I think what they can do now is to demand for very credible elections and, you know, safeguard their democracy.
Who go demand for credible elections?
All of us.
Okay. No, I'm going to say this. Why I'm saying they should resist it. The educational sector was begging for payment of lecturers. We didn't get. The doctors were crying on strike. If you put 30 billion consistently in the educational sector or health sector, you see an improvement. Secondly, I just want to remind people that the statement of we're going to do good, we're going to fix roads for you, we're going to provide you this, those statements no longer work. So there's a new style now. There are 3 national projects that continue to gulp money.
Coastal Road,
Ajaokuta Steel, the 4 refineries. The 4 refineries, 100 and something trillion that was spent on it has not been seen or recovered. NNPC's 210 trillion cannot be found. So much money. Let them go and borrow the 30 billion from the NNPC's 210 trillion.
NNPC is too far.
Bureaucracy in
Just
Nigeria.
go there and get the money. Why
the cost of, running a democracy.
Okay.
You know, you have 36 states. They have state house of assemblies.
Okay.
I mean, they draw billions of naira in budgets. They need to, we might have to look at the entire structure.
I agree.
Because maybe part-time lawmakers go for a parliamentary system where ministers are also part of the legislature. Just rejig it, because, we can't afford, we're living beyond our means, and we're borrowing a lot of money it's fake life. Because if ordinary Nigerians, you have hundreds of millions of Nigerians that can form several countries living in multidimensional poverty. Okay. The ruling class lifestyle does not reflect it. So we need to
let's quickly take YouTube comments so we can go to our second story. Stanley Amadi says, sometimes it appears the budget is really padded. A Senate committee awarding extra 30 billion naira is suggestive of some persons adding their cuts or kickbacks, depending on what you would like to do.
In the name of logistics.
Prince Ajibade says, is the Nigerian Senate now a department of INEC? Because I'm not understanding this. I think INEC should just go and hand over the certificate of return to Tinubu on Monday, and let's wait for 2031. INEC gave you a budget. You're adding an extra 30 billion that they didn't ask for.
Get it.
What is it with this Akpabio-led Senate? Are they bewitched?
It's based on logistics.
Sonny Ibe says, them suppose first Nigeria. 1 trillion for election that has already been concluded before conducted. The wages of sin is Nigeria.
So another thing I want to point out is this defeatist mentality from the comments. I mean, I understand, and it's based on reoccurring incidents. But let's not, I mean, it hasn't happened. It's still in January. We have a lot of time. But how can you say, you know, the elections have been concluded, they already have the results?
I understand people's frustration.
Defeatist, it's a smacks of a sense of hopelessness. You have life. There's a lot you can do. You can mobilize. You have brains. You can put yourselves together and say, look, we're tired of this. Because when you, I mean, why don't you just give up and let them...
Can I say that two truths can coexist? Everything you've said, I agree with, that people should not give up. But I also understand the sense of hopelessness, because they're judging from the reality of what they're seeing. They're judging from the fact that last election...
They're not powerless. They're not.
I agree that the people are not powerless, but I can understand and empathize with the sense of hopelessness is what
two truths can exist.
Exactly. Let's move on to our next story. Businesswoman Mrs. Tresinata Nicholas Ohiri, who was picked up 3 days ago, met with the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, at the police force headquarters 2 days ago, where activist Omoyele Sowore confronted the minister over alleged oppression, has been granted bail. Yesterday, she was granted bail. She pleaded not guilty to a defamation charge and was admitted to bail. And those are the clips that you're seeing there. This bail was granted in the sum of 1 million naira, with 2 sureties required to present verifiable addresses and utility bill evidence, one of whom is Omoyele Sowore. Her counsel, Abubakar Marshall, argued that her detention beyond 48 hours violated constitutional rights under Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution, stressing that the alleged offense is bailable under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, while assuring the court she would not obstruct investigations as the matter proceeds to trial. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Only president we know.
Stay strong.
Yes. David Umahi, pay me my money. I'm not afraid of you. You can lie all you want. David, you must pay me my money. I supplied goods to you, directly to you. You woke me up 5 a.m. in the morning.
You should also ask
and asked me.
Goods and services.
Yes, goods and services. I brought it to your house in Abakaleke. Yes, you know me very, very well. Just because you asked to date me and I said no, you turned it upside down. Sir, you will give me my money. They said you're an honorable minister. David Umahi, there is nothing honorable about you. And you are using police to oppress me. The only police officer that has been nice to me since I came to Abuja is one Maya, Ilya, and one Mr. Ali. The rest are so wicked and mean. The one that is my IPO always call David and his PA to give them information. And he will be asking her different questions. If I'm weak, if I'm broken, I can never be broken. Yes. David, I can never be broken. You pay me my money. I will press your neck. Yes. You cannot lie that you have not met me. And Fakorode is your boy. Frank and Ba and Fakorode is your boy. In the cell where I slept last night, there are 4 men from Benue State. Fakorode brought them all the way from Benue State and locked them up on the instruction of David Umahi. How long will this continue, Nigerians? Yes. This is so painful. David continue to oppress women. What did I do to David? I'm only a woman who is working so hard legally to feed her children and her family. What did I do wrong? By answering you and working for you without mobilization. David, pay me my money. I want all right-thinking men and women, God-fearing men and women all over the world to stand up for justice. Yes. David is owing me, and I need my money paid with interest, because 12 years is not 12 months. Yes. God bless you all. God bless you all. Right now, the initial money is 25.4, but today, the money that David is owing me with interest is worth over 304 million. God bless Nigeria. Yes. God bless you all. Thank you.
Let's show you to the world.
This is my president.
Okay, so that's the story. We'll keep showing you the footage there. That footage, the final footage you saw there while they were working, Olive, the policemen tried coming to grab her again. Even though the court had granted her bail, the police officers came again and tried to arrest her,
so
lock her up.
There was a lot of extra drama.
Yeah, so she'll spend the weekend in prison.
So that's the problem. You know, with the way that we practice our justice here, it's a bit scary that the court can say one thing and the law enforcement agents will choose to do another thing, and nobody will sue them for contempt of court. There are ways in which these manners, you know, or there are manners in which these things are being handled. If the court has granted her bail, allow her perfect the bill. Which one is rushing to treat her like a criminal?
They were almost going to take her to Nasarawa State yesterday.
Nasarawa State,
for the intervention of
and she made an expose that there are 4 other people that were picked up allegedly by the current minister all the way from the state and brought to Abuja to be locked up.
The court, the magistrate court, is undergoing some renovation. Today is Friday, and there are possibilities that they might not sit because they couldn't get the signature of the magistrate yesterday. Her case file disappeared. Just out of the blue. All this drama just to keep her in prison
over the course of the weekend.
All of a sudden, case files.
And in other crimes, just based on accusations, yesterday the head of the CEO of Davos, of the what's it called, World Economic Forum Davos, resigned based on being in the Epstein files. And being mentioned in the Epstein files does not mean you have committed any crime. Just the shame of it.
That you are associated with that person.
You are associated with it.
Shame is not a currency.
Lord Mandelson, the former UK ambassador to the United States, also resigned, tendered his resignation. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom had to apologize for appointing him in the first place. You know, you don't even have to be guilty. Just the fact that such a dirty person and just such a dirty accusation has been labeled against your person, and they know that you are in a position of authority and there might be the possibility of abuse of office. So in order to be fair, you are advised to resign temporarily or step aside while investigations are ongoing. I mean, you even look at the party, the APC leadership, Mr. President. It's an embarrassment to his government. And I mean, I'm not saying the woman is right, but just for the time being.
This is not the only woman being.
And it's not. She's not the only woman
coming out. And why is it that it's always women alleging? If it's what, like they always say, if one person says something about you, not certain. 2.
There's no fire without a
3,
smoke.
4. Are you sure? And this is happening concurrently and consistently. My worry is the fact that, and I want to say this, what we have, like many of our guests have said, and some people have said too, we have people who occupy offices.
And think they'll be there forever. Yeah.
Why would I say so? The reason why we say so is because, one, if issues like this are happening, you've mentioned it already, that's where you come down from your high horse. You tender your resignation, but in Nigeria, it will never happen. You'll never see a leader tender his resignation.
Even the man that was caught red-handed, that said he went to UNN, the former Minister of Science and Technology, he had to resign with pride.
Yes, and
you know, he was still very combative, and they didn't think he did.
You know what that tells us? It tells us that we don't really worry about the quality of a person's reputation in Nigeria, that your reputation doesn't really amount to much. You can have the worst reputation and ascend to the highest position. Just have money, have influence, have connections. People's attention span is really short, where you know they quickly move on and they forget who hasn't seen should throw the first stone. And I completely told the line of Benga where such strong allegations against you as a public figure, at least step aside and then sit on the neck of law enforcement to carry out the investigation, so that if your hands are clean, you'll be exonerated and reinstated to office. And the person who fabricated those lies against you will have their day in court, right? We need to get to that point. But then again, I'd also like to speak to the mode of administration of criminal justice, which is unfair and extrajudicial. You don't pick up people from one state. They are caught in a Benue State. If those allegations are correct, they are caught in a Benue State. Why did you have to move them to Abuja?
And the transaction happened in a Benue State. She said she went to his house in Abakaliki.
So why do you have to move them to Abuja? In Abuja, that they are renovating a number of the courts. Some of the courts don't even sit. I know of one of the courts where they sit for just 2 hours every day, because you go to the court and there are structures, there are pillars, you are hearing the sound of the hammer and the nail. So they can't really see. There are no fans. It's hot in a number of them that are being renovated. So it's really just unfortunate that this is where our
You
criminal
also missed that
justice
one
system
point
is.
where powerful individuals and persons, VIPs,
Yeah.
can unduly use the police to serve their interests.
Yeah.
And to add more pressure and punish people.
She said
I mean,
that
it's
I get the sense that in all of this, with the hope of them trying to hold her back and keep her throughout the weekend, it's just aiming at one thing, to break her spirit, which she alluded to. By the time you stay in prison for a weekend, you're probably disoriented, you just need to get back to your family, and then you decide, you know what, this is not worth my peace, I need to get back to my family. But like she said there, she said she had information that they had been calling to check on her to find out if her spirit is broken. But it's really, really sad. I'll take comments on YouTube, but let's get to X and see what Nigerians are saying about the case on social media. Joseph Ibe says, in any serious society, a minister hit with allegations like this will step aside. Exactly. Will step aside without hesitation. That is the baseline for accountability. Not a favor, not a suggestion, but a standard. Instead, the accuser is locked up while the accused moves around, draped in the title of honorable. They may think silencing one voice will quiet the outrage. It won't. Public anger does not evaporate. It builds, it hardens, and one day, the same people watching in silence will demand answers for the many misdeeds of these so-called elected few. I want to believe that, but we saw that with the Chioma case. I don't even know what has become of Chioma.
Yeah, there's an update. She has been granted, I think she was granted, there's an update from INEC. He put that up yesterday.
Okay, I'll check for that. What's the business of Nigerian police in this? What could be the woman's crime? Maybe cyberbullying or what? That someone claims a minister owes her for 12 years without showing signs of payment is now a crime? Is the minister claiming false allegations against him by this woman or what? Dave Umahi has had several investigated allegations against him, ranging from assault, land grabbing, non-payment of debt, etc. When will he be investigated? To ascertain the truth or bully the alleged victims of money and connection? Now the way forward. Will the poor ever get justice in Nigeria? What a country, Prince Will asks. This woman would think Showore is fighting for her, not knowing he's taking advantage of the case to fight Umahi and the federal government. He has always been that person, no problem. I hope she gets her money, Sha. Let it be. I'll come back to address that. Showore has done in one day more than what the mandate holder and the people standing on the mandate has done in 2026. Thank you for speaking up for the oppressed, sir.
Who is this?
Joseph Ibe. The next tweet.
Who are the mandate
Nikki
holders?
Lee,
I don't even know.
what's with the hand she raised up now? This is supposed to be a serious matter. They raise hand like it's a theater show. Are we in Fela's shrine? Probably.
That's not funny. And
Well, the
let's have
Foxy,
some empathy.
one thing we need to understand. Olive, you wanted to say something? Let me
There was a tweet earlier that, if we can go back, I think 2-3 tweets earlier, where the person had said, no, not this one. Let's go to the, okay. Now I've even forgotten the tweet. There was a Twitter. Yeah, no, the one just before this. The Showore one.
Yeah.
He said this woman would think Showore is fighting for her. Thank you. Not knowing he's taking advantage of the case to fight Umahi and the federal government. In this case, I would say that the end justifies the means. If he who comes to equity must come with clean hands, he that, if he has nothing to fear, then it's fine. If
Remember
there's
the
a case that,
of Raya.
Umahi has to defend, then he should defend the case. It's not about what side Showore is on. We can politicize this matter as much as we want. The most important thing we must look at first is that there's a life of a woman involved, and whether it's a man or a woman, there's a life of a Nigerian citizen
There's also
involved. There's a freedom,
accountability.
of the Nigerian citizen that is at risk, and there is accountability that needs to be demanded of a Nigerian leader that that is put in power in office to serve the citizens of Nigeria. Money claimed to be owed. There's so many breaches that
Conduct
we have occurred.
expected of an honorable minister. Yes.
Yeah.
And other
I think
things like
the
that.
point we should also take note of is the people in power today, do they feel that they owe you watching this program anything?
Nope.
That's it. They
Okay.
don't feel they owe you anything. Right.
Idris Onifade on YouTube says, this woman cannot be broken. I love her courage. These heartless people will keep making more activists who will eventually push them out of power. Okay, I think we can quickly run to our final story this morning for Wake Up Conversations, and this is in Rivers State. The governor of Rivers State, Simnalai Fubara, has sworn in the new chief of staff and the secretary to the state government. Fubara has dissolved his cabinet earlier this month, shortly after the peace deal brokered by President Tinubu between him and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. During the swearing-in held at the Government House, Port Harcourt, Governor Fubara emphasized that the appointments are not political empowerment but strategic decisions aimed at ensuring the smooth running of the government. The governor affirmed and reaffirmed his commitment to sustaining peace in Rivers State, warning that his government will not compromise on any issue capable of eroding the state's stability.
Government is not for any political empowerment that you're appointed, you start raising or believing that you have a platform to abuse, insult, or create problem. It is an appointment to help this administration survive. Your duty is to represent the state in the most respectful way, bearing in mind that what is important to this administration now is to succeed. What is important to this administration is to see that the good works that we started, the ones that we met, we must conclude them in a way that will bring progress and development to our dear state. For the Chief of Staff for Government House, you're working under me. It's not a position that, as you're living here now, you start holding meeting, calling people without my permission. If you involve yourself in nocturnal meeting and all those things, I will sack you. I'm very serious. What is important to me today is peace, progress, and prosperity of this state.
The new
Say if they do
as he
anyhow.
says if they do anyhow, they will see anyhow. That's what he said.
So he dissolved his cabinet. Did he also dissolve the band members? Tinubu, they tell you something. Fubara.
No,
that means
no.
those guys are in the labor market.
No, he did not. He did not touch those guys.
I mean, if they're in the labor market, both of
I
you
can
do MC,
confirm from
you can
from
employ them.
sources.
Oh my God. Let's see what Nigerians are saying about the story, the latest update in Rivers State. Benga.
Jogun says, what's the essence of Fubara disgracing his chief of staff by reading him the Electoral Act and talking to him down in public? He hasn't even started the job. You're already threatening him with sack. I will sack you. If I were the COS, I would submit my resignation letter immediately. No, seriously, there's a level of, ridicule. Dignity, yeah, that you, even our MD is not going to talk to any member of staff like that. Let alone a chief of staff. What a dishonorable something. Jay says, your chief of staff is supposed to be one. This English is hard in me.
Your chief of staff is supposed to be one of your most trusted allies. One who you can sleep with both eyes closed when he's nearby. But this one will be COS. Now Wike spy. Now what for Simo? Jay says, if he chose the COS, he wouldn't be reading that riot act for him in the first place. These appear to be part of the peace deal. Obviously, this guy doesn't have any loyal politician on his side, really. He's a political orphan. Hey! The fact that Fubara is not a politician is now in Ultra HD format. While what he was saying is real, it's not a matter for microphone. He clearly lacks diplomacy, confidence, and is highly insecure. A David behaving like a Saul. Wow.
Please, can you break that down for me?
David was the selected king by God. Saul was already ousted and rejected by God. But even though David was selected, he was behaving like someone that is rejected.
So where does Nebuchadnezzar come in this story?
Anyway, I have no comments to make.
If you watch to the end of that video, there's a part where he said, I made mistakes in the past.
I would not make mistakes.
I agree. He said he allowed a lot of things, but now he's not going to allow anything happening.
But that point...
And the chief of staff should not have meetings behind his back or invite people. That before he does that, he must call him and tell him, So that
Chief of staff or houseboy?
So that really clears that.
What's really going on here?
Barrister Sonny
Chief of
has
staff
his
was
hands
not
full.
piqued by anyway.
Anyway, just
Let's
to
leave
say a
Rivers
huge
issue.
hearty from all of us here at Breakfast Central, hearty congratulations to the people of Rivers State and particularly to Barrister Sonny Ewule, who's the Chief of Staff in Rivers State, and Dr. Dagogo S.A. Wokoma, who's the Secretary to the State.
Please help us check on the mental health of Barrister Sonny.
Barrister Sonny will be just fine.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
They'll be just fine.
It's just a riot act in public.
Yeah, just letting them know that if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow.
First day of work.
All right, final comments. Is defamation a criminal matter? This is supposed to be civil. As such, there should be no attempt to hold her in prison. This is regarding the earlier story we took about Dave Umahi and the one accusing him. Let's now head to share with you what our top stories are as we go into the conversations proper this morning. Our top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. We're beginning in Ondo State. Great news. Governor Ayedatiwa
That's my
has
state.
launched the emergency tricycle, that is Keke ambulance.
That's massive.
Reaction trails assassination attempt on Peter Obi, an ADC chieftain in Ondo State. Opposition leaders demand review of Electoral Act. They're asking for more. The newspaper front pages will be reviewed, but we'll also be looking at the trial of Yelwata suspects. So we're still going to continue with the updates on that. We'll ask for your feedback as well when we open the phone lines for you to drop your comments on the newspaper review. Stay with us.
Papa.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. In Ondo State, a new government initiative to deploy tricycle ambulances across rural communities has sparked mixed reactions among Nigerians. The state government says the project aims to improve emergency healthcare access in hard-to-reach areas where regular ambulances struggle to operate due to poor road conditions. Officials describe the innovation as practical and people-centered solution. But the move has ignited public debate, with critics questioning whether tricycles, popularly known as keke, can truly meet the demands of modern medical emergencies, especially after the recent deadly attack in Ondo, which exposed the urgent need for rapid response and well-equipped emergency services.
Many residents and health experts say
the idea, though creative, may not address the deeper issues of healthcare infrastructure, emergency preparedness and security coordination, particularly in a state still reeling from the trauma of the attacks. Others, however, argue that in rural communities where ambulances can't access remote roads, any functional emergency transport is better than none, provided they are properly equipped and staffed. To help us unpack the mixed reactions to this initiative and what it means for healthcare delivery and public safety in the wake of recent events, we're joined by Senior Special Assistant Governor of Ondo State of Strategic Communication. We have Mr. Alan Shore, who joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. What exactly is the Tricycle Ambulance Initiative? And what problem is the Ondo State government trying to solve with it, even though there are mixed reactions coming from various quarters, wondering what a tricycle will be doing, especially with the current situation in the state?
Thank you. Thank you for this question, and thank you for the opportunity to actually let the people know what we are doing. In Ondo State, there are 18 local governments. We have 203 wards. We have communities that are practically inaccessible through roads because of the difficult terrain. And as a matter of fact, we have 2 local government areas in Ondo State that are on the riverine. So, as you know, health institutions are categorized into 3. We have the tertiary health institution, those are the teaching hospital, or referral hospital, as it may be called in the medical language. Then we have the secondary, which are comprehensive health center. These are located in the headquarters of the 18 local government. Then we have primary health care or health centers. These are located in almost in each of the local governments within the state. So last year, the state government launched emergency and ambulance services that, buses what you are used to. In the cities, in the towns, where there are roads and there are accessible roads to the hospital. So, but the people who are in the interior, they don't have access to some of these things, they don't have roads. So we cannot, construct all the roads in the state in the same day. So in a way to ensure that those who are in the interior equally have access to this emergency, the state government decided to launch tricycle ambulance for these villages. In fact, I will send you the picture. We equally have both ambulances for the two local governments on the river line. So basically, is to let the people know that even if you live in the village, that government cares about you, and you can have access to some form of mobility when you are in need of emergency health care. And we are creating that awareness so that people in the village get to know about the availability of these tricycle ambulances. It's basically to assist the people. Everybody cannot live in the city, as a matter of fact. Everybody cannot live in Akure, Ondo, Ikare, Oktikpa. There are farmers who are right there doing their farm in the village. But government cares about them. And we are letting them to know that, look, wherever you live, wherever you may be, that there's something for you when you are in need of emergency help. That's exactly what the government has done.
And there are those who would argue that it speaks to inclusion so that those in the rural communities are not excluded in certain medical services, right, and with emergencies. And you also spoke about the state having standard ambulances. Part of the concern is that these tricycles will not have standard equipment. So what would you say in terms of equipping is the difference between these tricycle ambulances and the regular ones? To what extent are they equipped?
As you know that even those, just like I said earlier, those health centers are not necessarily to take care of serious medical condition. They are just what is called first aid. If a woman that is pregnant needs to move to a health center, maybe for her regular visit during the pregnancy in the village, she can use this one. But when she's needs serious medication or medical attention, as a matter of fact, you know that she will be moved to the city where you have standard medical facilities. So it's a collaboration, it's a collaborative effort between the primary health care, the secondary health care, and the teaching hospital that we have. Basically, for instance, Ondo State, if for instance you live in Okitipupa or Irele, there are interior towns and villages where this can take you to the city. The moment you get to the city, like the government headquarters, you have access to the best ambulances that you have access. So this merely first aid. It's first aid to take you to the nearest medical center. But immediately you are there, you get there maybe from your village. If your medical condition cannot be solved, immediately the standard ambulance arrives. It's a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort between the interior, the towns, the periphery, and the cities.
My colleague said that you talking about the practicality of this, the ambulance. You look at a picture of the ambulance and you're wondering where ventilation what manner of ventilation do you have in those tricycles that the heat might even kill a patient before he gets to the hospital? There are also critics of Ondo State's government that say Ondo is an oil-producing state, and this initiative is shortchanging the people of Ondo State. That when you say there are certain areas that are not accessible, why not fix the roads that lead to those areas and buy standard ambulances that for an oil-producing state, the people of Ondo State deserve more? How do you respond to that?
Yes, I tell you that you cannot consult all the roads. As I speak to you, I am in my own town, Kuribo, in SSG, the local government. And I can tell you that if this government want to construct all the necessary roads to access Akure from where I'm speaking to you, perhaps it will take the next 2-3 years. Because as I speak to you, I am on the River Rhine. So we may need to construct bridges, like 2 or 3 bridges. And we have 18 local government. We have 203 wards. We have more than 1,000 communities. Ondo is not a city state like Lagos where all the people are in the city town. In one local government, for instance, in a larger local government, you will spend 4 hours on the waterways to access the headquarters in Bokoda. So if you want to construct a road to some of those communities on the River Rhine, even the federal government, Lagos-Calabar Express, cannot solve all our problems in the River Rhine community of Ondo State. So I'm saying that it is practically impossible to construct all the roads within 1, 2, 3 years. It's a continuous. But the people who need help, they need emergency. Right now, as we speak, there is somebody who is in need of help. Do you wait until you construct road to that community before you assist that woman that is pregnant? Do you wait until you construct road to the woman or a man who is working in his farm and accidentally he used cutlass to cut his leg before you attend to him? No. So this is the temporary measure to assist people who are in need of help before we construct all the roads as they are required. So, those days we don't take transportation easy, Don't forget those days perhaps the only state where the government takes students to school in the morning. I will return them back in the evening in a well-protected buses. Go and ask in the whole of Southwest. I don't see any other state where government is responsible for the transportation of students in the morning, well-protected, and we return them back to their parents in the evening. So the same thing we are replicating in the health sector, that everybody who is in need of health services is transported wherever you are. You are in the village, you are moved to the town. If your health condition improves, then you go back home. If it does not improve, then you enter a more well-equipped ambulance to take you to the city. So you from primary health to secondary, then to the tertiary, which is the teaching hospital.
It seems pretty much like a laudable initiative. Now that you've broken it down into bits and pieces, areas where there's a lot of lesser penetration in terms of entry, rural areas, so they can move them out, quickly administer maybe first aid and see if they can get themselves back up before they're now moved to a proper hospital, if we want to look at it that way based on your explanation. But my question is, how many of these do we have in Ondo State, and is it free? Because that's the most important question for every person who lives in Ondo. Is it free? Is there a toll-free line? If they call, what's the plan? Who are those that would be riding on these bikes? Who would take charge of them? Is there an after maintenance service? I wouldn't say sales, because I don't think it's on sale. Or better still, is it put on sale? I mean, just give us the internal strategy for this?
Okay, thank you. Basically, we have 203 wards. So in each of these wards, there is a comprehensive health center. In each of these wards, where you have good road, you have ambulance, standard ambulance. And there is a telephone number, toll-free, that every person, particularly pregnant woman, can call when they are in need of this service, free. So, and the vehicle drives straight to the woman or the patient who will have earlier registered with this health institution to pick him or her up to the basic health center. So, this particular program is designed for pregnant women who may need to attend her regular when she can't get there herself. So every registered pregnant woman in Ondo State has that number toll-free to call at every particular point in time in her choosing basic health center where she has registered. So if the woman is busy, her husband is not available, and she needs health service, she just calls the number, and the vehicle will be right there because they are all registered. So 203 wards across the state, in the two local governments where you have rivers everywhere, there is both ambulances that they can call. I get to the health center through the boat. So I'm not sure that the people who are circulating this have the pictures of our boat ambulances. So same thing applies to our free shuttle buses. We have shuttle boats that take students from home to school on the river. So it's free, completely free for all the registered people who patronize our health institutions.
What mechanism? Because we do have, sometimes we struggle with seeing that when there's a new initiative is being followed through and that the quality at the start remains the quality. So is there a quality control mechanism put in place to ensure that, the standard operation of these ambulances, is optimal and that it's not diverted for another use? We don't want to see that tomorrow somebody is using it to hawk their private business.
Fortunately, this is not even a new initiative. This particular program was started during Dr. Olusegun administration, and it is called the Abiye. Abiye in Yoruba means that every child must survive. So this is just to boost that initiative. So already there is a standardized mechanism, and the people in the state are used to it. So nobody is going to divert it. In fact, there is the primary healthcare board where people can even report in case of any misuse or abuse of some of these. But I can tell you, we have not recorded much abuse. Even people from other states come to Ondo State to deliver baby because of our standardized test. Because as we speak, health is free for children from 0 to 5.
All right.
Okay.
0 to 5. Yeah, completely, absolutely free. Transportation.
My final question before we wrap this up here is there was an attack 2 days ago in Ondo State, in Owo, where 6 worshippers were kidnapped. What's the current status with regards to those attacks? Is the police investigating? Have they been rescued? What's the current situation with that?
Thank you. In the late night of Tuesday, the traditional ruler of Usho community called the security services. There was an invasion of hoodlums and kidnappers in Celestial Church of Christ in Ushu community. Our security agents quickly moved to the scene. There were 12 people that were taken initially, and the security agents rescued 7. So a chase gave this kidnapper chase. They went away with 5. As we speak, all the security agencies in Ondo State are on their case. The forest is being combed, and all checkpoints the security is on record to ensure that these victims are rescued safely. And I can assure you that as soon as possible, because all security apparatus have been put on red alert to ensure they are safe rescue. God grace, they will be rescued safely by security agents because we have a well-coordinated security network in Ondo State, including the Amatekun Corps, which is the state-owned homegrown security network, helping with intelligence. And it has helped seriously. But we know these are one share of the insecurity generally in the country, knowing full well that Ondo State share boundary with 7 states, share boundary with Kogi, Edo, Delta on the riverine, Lagos, Osun, Ogun, and the rest. Even some, Ondo State is the access, the closest to the southwest, the northeast, north central and north southeast. The 5 eastern states of Anambra through Benin access. So these are our share of the general security in the country. Very, very unfortunate, but government is doing everything possible to ensure that these victims are rescued alive.
We really don't. We hope that these people who have been kidnapped are rescued. We read that the governor has inducted 500 new Amatekun members. We want to see that there is an impact of this, and that we don't continue hearing stories about this, and so that citizens can feel safe in their state and in their country. Thank you for joining us this morning. But I think in 30 seconds, if you can, just to mention what would be a landmark, and this is going back to the tricycle ambulance. In 1 year, what would be a landmark for the government to decide that this project is a success? And if the government finds out that in 1 year it hasn't improved the state of healthcare in Ondo State, will it be terminated?
Yeah, healthcare has always been one of the cardinal program of even successive government, and this government is doing it. If you come to Ondo State now, you acknowledge the fact that the government is doing much in terms of road infrastructure, and when you have dualized road across, this is the first time in the history of the state where you have dualization of roads across the 3 central districts. So government is doing everything possible to actually make Ondo State that he met it. Dr. Locke, and those who are in Ondo State about which was this friendly story. And those say that the government is doing everything possible within Ondo State, a base of pride. I just like to ask what would be the landmark. For us, the landmark or the objective is to make Ondo State a tourist center for the entire Southwest, and we are working on it.
Ondo State to be a tourist center for the entire Southwest. We'll continue to follow up and maybe re-invite you again in another year to see the landmark of success for this project. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Alan Shawari, this morning. We look forward to having you again. Let's now share what's coming up next on Breakfast Central. Coming up next, reaction trails assassination attempt on Peter Obi and ADC chieftain in Ondo State. We'll be looking at the Electoral Act controversy as opposition leaders demand the review of Electoral Act. Lawmakers demand sack of CAC boss and orders arrests. We'll be going into details shortly.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. Leaders of Nigeria's opposition party, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, through a coalition, have called on the National Assembly to begin a fresh process to amend the Electoral Act. Speaking on behalf of the opposition at a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, the NNPP National Chairman, Ajuji Ahmed, urged lawmakers to expunge all objectionable provisions contained in the Act.
Now, Ahmed stated that the opposition leaders view certain provisions of the Electoral Act 2026, which was signed into law by President Tinubu with what they described as undue haste, as an alleged deliberate move by the All Progressives Congress-led administration to undermine the will of the people ahead of the 2027 general elections. The coalition of opposition insists that the flaws of the 2023 elections must be corrected before 2027.
Major challenges was insecurity, here and there, economy, and so on and so forth. Now it is even worse than what we fought in 2014. So we must have that in mind, that in the event, and we must succeed, to make sure that we restore true democracy to our country. That was what we fought for. That was what, the founders of this country fought for. And we fought the military for that. And we must make sure that that is established in this country. So I want to thank particularly our speaker today for highlighting the various challenges facing our democracy in this country, from legislative to security, to political parties, to elections, and so on and so forth. I thank you very much indeed for giving me this opportunity, to make a few remarks. Thank you.
There's need, very urgent need, for all the opposition parties. Those who are not here today, we're pleading that we all come together to save our dear country. The government we have today, as it said, and continue, is the worst ever in our dear country, Nigeria. Today there is no governance in Nigeria. The legislative arm is at its worst. The judiciary is no longer hope of the weak or the poor. We all know insecurity, killings and abductions is worse than even countries at war. Just in the past 1 week, 34 in Kebbi, Wednesday, Thursday, 50 in Zamfara on Friday, and today, even while we're speaking today, over 20 already in Adamawa. Sick is all over the country. I just mentioned a few. Poverty has increased dramatically in the past 2.5 years, from 87 million to about 140 million today, the highest in any country on earth. In fact, we now have almost over 30% of all the world poor living in Nigeria. We now have more people living in Nigeria, a country of 240 million, than China and India, a country of 2.8 billion combined.
Well, beyond these calls for fresh amendments to the country's electoral reforms, we'll also confront the disturbing reports of the attacks on opposition, such as the one that happened in Ondo State again, and not forgetting to Benue State and also here in Lagos. But what does this say about the safety of opposition voices? And how does the APC government respond to the growing frustrations of the people? We do have two guests joining us. First is the special advisor to former Governor of Massacre. We do have Mr. Shadrach Udogbai, who's joining us via voice call, and via video conferencing is political activist Zariki Idris joining us as well. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Okay, I'm going to start off first with you, Mr. Idris, before we go straight to the voice call, the former SA who's also on the line. Let's start off first with what you make of the coalition coming together and calling other political parties to join forces ahead of the 2027 elections, and also the call for a review of the just amended laws, or better still, what we saw happen to the electoral reform. We're asking for another reform. That's what we saw there on the video. What's your take?
Thank you. That's a great question. The first leg of your question is the opposition coming together to join forces to attempt to rescue our country from the precipice. Like the video you played before we entered this conversation, started this conversation, it is stark. It is now shocking that Nigeria has more poor people than hungry people, for that matter, than India and China combined. About 140 million Nigerians are poor, and even some of us who are pretending not to be poor, we know that if you check very well, you will know that things are not okay at home. So it is crucial. It is the first of 4 steps that I have suggested that the opposition must do. This is the one concerning the opposition: unity, coherence of the opposition. The other 3 would be foreign interest in Nigeria, and we have seen it with the President of the United States sending an envoy to come and assess the security situation in Nigeria. We are also praying and hoping for an unbiased INEC. But I have said it before, that INEC is like a tree in the wind. When the Nigerian people are ready to take back their country, INEC will have no choice. So these are some of the steps that needs to be taken to save our country from the precipice. Even those in government today must have acknowledged, and some of them say it privately, that we have not had it so bad. It seems that the leaders of this country are detached from the reality of the normal human being, everyday Nigerian living in Nigeria. And then you asked about the electoral reform. For 2 weeks, we had seen some of the shenanigans and the maneuverings of those in the legislature, those we elected to the legislature. It needs to be emphasized, because Nigerians need to know this, that we own the Nigerian legislature. We voted for the senators and the members' House of Reps. The senators and the members' House of Reps are serviced with my taxes and yours. So I own the Nigerian legislature. The Nigerian legislature does not own me. And whatever is done in the 2 houses, whether it's the House of Representatives or the Senate, must reflect the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. And one of the crucial wishes and aspirations of Nigeria is that we will have free and fair elections in the year 2027. To guarantee this free and fair election, we have demanded to be enforced and to be put in the laws, our electoral laws, mandatory electronic transmission of results. They had surreptitiously removed it before, but when they saw the protest and the pressure that came from Nigerian youth, young Nigerians with interest in moving this country forward, they put it back. But they now put an off-ramp, a clause, if you like, a leeway, saying that where there is no network, they can choose to manually collate results. Even when INEC has said that it does not require network to electronically transmit results. Even when INEC has said in 2018, as part of their research, that up to 93% of the 177,000 polling units in Nigeria are covered by network. But we have people in the legislature who believe that them and their principals in Aso Rock and elsewhere, all the various state government houses, cannot win free and fair election, and they are looking for ways to put things in our laws that will allow them have an off-ramp, that will allow the mutilation of election results, that will allow glitches to happen in 2027. And this is what Nigerians are rejecting, not just the opposition leaders and the opposition element. All Nigerians must insist in a free and fair election, because the only hope for a citizen in a democracy is his vote. once you remove the power to pick a leader from the citizen in a democracy, you can call it anything else but a democracy.
Let's confirm, Mr. Odubai, who's joining us, via the voice call. Do you agree that, the current reality of our electoral laws are that it's removed the right of citizens to elect their leaders? And do you think that the call for the reform of the electoral laws is right, or do you think that it's just a waste of time?
Yeah, I strongly believe that Nigerians demanding for a redress of the just amended 2026 Electoral Act are speaking in the right direction. Because in as much as the law has been passed, it would be relatively unfair for me to say the law to a large extent has nothing positive for Nigerians. But the strength of the electoral law is just as strong as its weakest clause. And there are two contentious clauses that have been giving Nigerians reason for worry. The first of them being the electronic transmission of results, where INEC, where the law expressly states that when there is failure of electronic transmission, that it should revert to from ECSA. There are two implications here. First of all, the law is not clear on what failure is. It does not specify what failure is. As in, at what point do you now unanimously agree that there is failure? In as much as we know that what we require is just a transmission of results, whereby even if you upload and there's no network in that particular venue, when you move into the area where there's network, it can be covered effectively and it will be uploaded. And then, secondly, there's no issue of punishment as to regards who we announce what failure is, at what point it will not be enthroned, and is there any punishment for people who sit down to engineer failure of the transmission of results? There is a critical aspect I also have to agree. There's no change. I do not see a change from what it used to be, because as at last 2023 election, there was electronic transmission of results. But first, it was also being subjected to being a secondary, or perhaps a trivial, or perhaps as described by the Supreme Court, as just a television, a mere viewing portal for Nigerians to see what's happening, and it's not a legal collation center, as we stated. But today, it has not been made mandatory. The court, we do not know how the court will now regard the IREF and what it's supposed to do with the results that we uploaded, whether there's going to be a cross-examination of what is on ground and what is uploaded. Because from what the law says, it made it look as though the IREF or the result that is transmitted electronically is secondary. I do not say there should be total abolition of the form ECSA. There's never a time election will be done and not be documented on paper. I do not say that the polling unit results should not move from the unit to the ward collation and later to the local government collation and state collation. There's never be a time we will not have manual collation. We can't evolve automatically to electronic transmission because people must monitor. But the result that was transmitted electronically cannot be secondary. If not, it should even be placed to be more superior than the one that we done in the manual collation at the ward and local government collation centers. So wherever you collate in the ward, wherever you collate in the local government, must synchronize clearly with what was transmitted. When that is being established, we can now have sincere faith. Our faith and hopes will be restored on the integrity and the sanctity of the ballot, believing that whatever the voter has expressed in the polling unit will be transmitted and reflected on the result, irrespective of whether a candidate wins or loses. So the idea of reducing the electronic transmitted copy to be perceived to be something secondary or something that can be thrown into the bush or something that is elementary, it totally does not fit what we mean. Because we cannot be deploying billions of naira to get an electronic transmission of results that does not stand the test of time or perhaps cannot go through the legal scrutiny of the Supreme Court.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. I'll come back to you shortly, but I believe my colleague wants to ask a question.
We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. You stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently discussing the opposition party's demand and request that the National Assembly jettisons the recently passed electoral amendment law for a new one that reflects the yearnings and aspirations of the majority of Nigerians. And joining us for this discussion, we have former special advisor to the governor of Ondo State, Mr. Obaseki, Mr. Shedrack Udubai. We also have political activist Zachary Idris. Still have quite a lot to unpack on this topic. Mr. Idris, critics of this move and demand by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and the ANPP and NNPP, I beg your pardon, and ADC say, the ship has already sailed, that this is an exercise in futility. Now, what's the practicality of it happening when you don't have the numbers in the National Assembly? Are you appealing to their moral judgment and that this is just cheap political rhetoric? How do you respond to that?
Great question again. The laws are meant for Nigerians. Nigerians are not meant for the laws. So if you make a law that is against the wishes and aspiration, that is against the good judgment of the Nigerian people, no matter what it takes, it can be reviewed. And the electoral laws can be reviewed, barring the fact that even the president had signed it. The simple questions we are asking of the law is that the law should empower the Nigerian to select his leader. It should not be a law. What we have now is an elitist law that the most powerful win. We want a law that the most persuasive and the person who speaks to the wishes, to the hearty desires of Nigerians win, as opposed to a law where a man can just choose to switch off the network in his village and claim that there was network failure and then upload phony results that do not reflect the votes of the people. I have said it before. We still have 1 year to election. If you are a senator, you are a House of Rep member, state assembly member, a governor, deputy governor, whatever position you occupy, including the president, go back to your village and work for your people. You cannot sit in Abuja and manufacture a law that will retain you in office without actually doing the work for which you were voted for. We have two realities in Nigeria now. The realities of the gentlemen and women in Abuja occupying public office and the reality of Nigerians. If you ask the men in Abuja, they will tell you that Nigeria is the next best thing after the discovery of jollof rice. But if you ask the ordinary Nigerians, they are choking under this economic oppression. They are choking under so many layers of government ineptitude, insecurity, and the rest of it. So we are demanding, and we are still asking, that they do it peacefully, that they do it in the interest of the Nigerian people, that they make laws that reflect us. And then you talk about numbers. The numbers in issues of overriding national interest don't matter. Is there anybody who is afraid of a free and fair election? If you are afraid of a free and fair election, come out and say, I am afraid of a free and fair election. Don't go through the back. If you are now making peaceful changes difficult, are you not pushing people to think of alternatives? Are you not testing the seeds?
But Mr. Idris, the people that passed the law that Mr. President hastily signed are also representatives of the people, and they would argue that they carried out what was in the best interest of their constituents.
I am from Edo North. I elected the senator. I am from Edo North. I vote in Edo South. The senator representing Edo North is Comrade Adams Oshomole. He did not seek my consent to sign to a law that does not reflect my wishes and aspirations. I am sure that is same for many people in the Esako, Owan, and Akoko Edo speaking parts of Edo State. The senator representing Edo South, who I voted for in the last election, is Senator Neda Imasuen. He did not seek our opinion to put a law that puts a leeway in the transparency of our votes. So at this time, they are representing themselves. We are asking them to represent the Nigerian people. And even these senators, we need to inform them that they will be the victims of bad elections, as it has always been in the past. That is why we have that high rate of attrition. Anytime there are elections, you see a huge number of senators not returning because the governors decide what happens in the party structure. And even no matter how well you have performed as a senator, if you attempt to go back and your governor does not endorse you, if you go to another political party, you are sure to lose if the elections are not free and fair. So it is in their enlightened self-interest, even when they don't know it now, because everybody is trying to prove to President Tinubu that they love him more than First Lady Remi Tinubu. Even when they don't know it now, it is in the enlightened self-interest of our senators to have free and fair elections, so that you can disagree with anybody, disagree with any governor, disagree with any godfather, and still return to the National Assembly.
Okay. You've spoken your mind, let's put it that way. We also have Regional Advocacy Officer joining us, the Regional Advocacy Officer in West Africa, Democracy Solidarity Network, DSN, Mr. Austin Aigbe. Mr. Austin, welcome, and thank you so much for making time out to join this very important conversation. The aftermath of the FCT polls and also the by-elections. I did see a video while you joined us during the coverage. You said some electorates were notified about the change of their polling units and it just did not go there. But that's just one out of the many issues that we saw on that day. In this conversation, our guests who have made their comments have asked for a revisit to the the law, the electoral reform law. They're asking for a revisit to look into the law again and ensure that they impute the mandatory transmission of results. Can you share more light? Can you shed more light, rather, on what this will take?
Thank you very much for having me. I've sincerely had conversation about revisiting the process. Let me let people know it is not a Tea Party reviewing any piece of legislature. When those who has the knife and the yam are not interested in using them. So, for instance, we know how the national item was changed very like in 24 hours. We know when bills come to National Assembly with interest, it can really go fast. But my challenge is, I have said again and again, I am afraid of speaking to the Electoral Act 2026 because I don't know the version that will become public. I don't know the version that will be gazetted. As I speak to you, what the National Assembly passed, I know people are talking about the section 63 and some persons are talking about section 84. So whichever one, let me stay with section 63. The version passed by the National Assembly tend to talk about where communication failed. Where, that means specificity. There's another version after the president signed. It didn't have the signature of the president, but there's another version after the president signed, began to trend, and that section in section 63.3 now have the proviso that says that provided in all cases, the Form EC8A, the fiscal copy, shall be used in collation and announcement of result. These are two different provisos that need to be interrogated. I don't know the copy that the NDC is speaking to in the press conference of yesterday. Maybe my colleague on the call will have seen the gazetted copy, then we can interrogate it. But in any case, we have an Electoral Act 2026. Let me state, in the 2015 election, the PDP dragged its feet to use the smart card reader and eventually mess up in the election because of dragging. Prepare for election. Opposition parties should prepare for election. If you get the Electoral Act review or revisited, fine. But prepare for election. What do you do when it becomes obvious? Because the law states, very obvious, that there shall be real-time transmission of results. How about when the provision now came in to say provided, which I think is worse than the one the National Assembly passed. That's why I'm very conscious of the kind of commentaries I make at this time. If the word provided in all cases, if you underline the word all cases, and if you turn to the one we know the National Assembly passed, is in selected cases where there are communication failure. I think that the National Assembly, not National Assembly, the opposition party, particularly the NDC, and of course the ANPP, should sincerely tell us the version that they are referring to.
right.
Okay. I mean, he's broken it down there. I think we have a challenge on our hands right now. I mean, Olive, sorry, before you come in. What Mr. Igbe has just said now is that we may likely have two versions of of the electoral reform laws, and we do not know which one. And doesn't it cause a storm that after it was passed, we saw a video of the president signing signing it into law, but yet we do not have, as Nigerians, a gazetted copy. But Olive, sorry, permit me before you ask your question, I just wanted to bring in the former SA because he hasn't spoken yet. Have you seen? I just want to ask him if he has seen it. Have you seen any of the copies of the gazetted electoral reform laws? Maybe he has. I don't know. Mr. Shidrak, are you still there?
I haven't, but the last time I checked, I saw Ned Emerswem on the television program where he read exactly what was written in it. And I strongly believe that the senators do have a copy. A friend of mine who works there, he said he has that's the one that was given to the National Assembly as a complete copy, not the one that has been passed. The difference between what was given to you and the one that was actually given to the president and passed. But certainly, whether it is available now or available later, and yes, eventually have a copy to understand what is inside. But what I've carefully seen is that the National Assembly has opted for ambiguity rather than clarity. And then the reforms that ought to aid transparency and protect the sanctity of the ballot are being justices. And we see them making deliberate attempts to defend the loopholes with which they can usurp the will and mandate of the people through the judiciary, because that is the trap they are setting. So it is easy for you to read, but to prove that you didn't read is what is difficult. So to prove that you've read, you have to then ensure that the loopholes are available to protect and guide the judiciary to give a due judgment, that is a reflection of justice, to give them an opportunity to focus on now go on for trivialities, focus on technicalities, rather than the substance of the issue. That is exactly what Nigerians are trying to prevent, because we've seen the weaponization of the Nigerian judiciary against the people and their mandate that they are selected. So that's what we are careful about. Yes, now, the court will now have to look at INEC to say what exactly is on ground, what was stated. What is INEC is not contradictory to what is expressed from ECSA, ECSC, and ECSD. Which one will not carry more weight? With the one on INEC now be told he must collect. But if the way the law is being pronounced, that when electoral transmission fails, with regard to the paper copy, put the electronic transmission results as a mere backup, a spare tire that I cannot count, cannot be used to superintend over the bidders. What will happen is that Nigerians will not go to an election and see that their candidates will win in beavers, they will win in the electoral commission, they will win online, they will win on the IRS, but they will proceed to lose that the manual collation has been done in INEC, whereby we all know that the integrity of INEC can be compromised both now and in the previous election. You will lose in IRS and you will lose in the collection centers. You will not proceed to court and still lose having won on IRS. That is what we are trying to prevent, to ensure that we protect the integrity of the ballot. So for us, I think that the Nigerian House of Assembly has done a very poor job. They do not work for us. They don't work for the Nigerian people. They work for their political party. If we saw the voting patterns of the Senate when they did the electoral amendment law, you could see that out of the 70 persons who were on ground, all 55 of the ACC voted against electoral transmission, mandatory transmission results. Only the 15 opposition members had the courage and temerity to vote. It was clearly divided across party lines. That goes a long way to show that these assembly members do not work for they don't even work for their stomach. They work for the party. They are all singing one song. Afterward, and it's irritating. It's nauseating and distracting that the deputy want to corner Nigerians to ensure that Nigeria that gives them an election. There's no reflection of their yearnings and aspirations. So what we are standing against is to ensure that we are able to go to court and have it as the hope of the common man. We are able to go to court and address the irregularities. Because what we see now is that the weaponization of the judiciary against the Nigerian people in issues that relate to electoral amendments is irritating. I also want to quickly point out this dubious abolition of the indirect system of primaries, otherwise called the delegate system, is also very annoying. Because these are issues of internal party affairs. And the Supreme Court has also said that issues of the internal party affairs are exclusively within the affairs of the party. direct primaries, indirect primaries, consensus, they are all legitimate and constitutional methods of getting a capturing of a candidate. But the APC do not perceive that it's even their best interest to run with direct and consensus and not put the opposition into chaos that says, oh, there will be no indirect, especially for a presidential election. This must to be won.
Okay.
Because I see it as a weaponization of the process. Because APC, there's never been a time to the return of democracy in 1999 where they have carried out direct primaries in a political party to pick a presidential candidate. What they normally do is an indirect primary. Why? Because in indirect primary, the delegates are sent, they are housed in a one venue. The election is carried out once. A winner is gotten decisively, and it reduces the issue of court litigations. Whoever will have to carry out party primaries across 36 states of the federation, it needs more to worry because we increase, monitoring will increase. We will leave for manipulation. It should not be easily managed. Of course, the people who are supporting this abolition of that indirect primaries have said, oh, indirect primaries over the years have been tolerized. It has made you have put the mandate of the old nation on the hands of the few people to determine. But whether you like it or not, it is still democracy. It is democratic. And the APC cannot now with us.
All right, Mr. Shadrack.
Remember the APC, if you are not in tandem with the list.
All right, Mr. Shadrack. I mean, thanks for your points. Let's just go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Mr. Idris and, of course, Segbe, who's still here with us. And we are in the final lap of this conversation, looking at another call made by a coalition for a reform of the electoral reform. It's much more like revisiting what has just been looked into. And reasons best known in this conversation, we've seen that even the gazetted copy, many do not have it. So the question is, what is INEC using? Why isn't it made public? Well, our guests are still here, very much here with us. Let's see if we can spread the little time we have into 1 minute each. I'm sure Benga Borowa has a few questions to ask. Benga.
Yes, I mean, we won't be doing justice to this conversation if we have men of timber and caliber from Ondo State without talking about incidents in their home state. And one of such ugly incidents happened just recently when there was an attempt at the life of top politicians, the ADC's gathering. The defection of Olumide Akpata turned violent when they were hit by suspected thugs who opened fire. There was a lot of disruptions there and vehicles were damaged, shots were fired. Some have insinuated that they are sponsored thugs from the APC, and the Ondo State government has also pushed back and said the Ondo State is not going to be a theater for lawlessness, and the ADC should put its house in order. They claim that it was the fight or the disruption happened as a result of internal party disputes within the ADC. Mr. Idris, this is a state that's very close to your heart. What do you make of the incidents that happened and your take?
I think it's useful we inform our audience that I was also at that event. I was with the Labour Party presidential candidate for the 2023 presidential election and the Labour Party governorship candidate for the 2024 Edo governorship election, Peter Gregory Obi and Olumide Akpata, respectively. And I was at the party secretariat, and we left the party secretariat to the home of our leader, the former governor of Edo State, John Eduge Oyegun. And then we got the information about the destruction, the carnage, the mayhem at the party secretariat. As though that was not enough, these very confident people, confident as much as confident as to prove that they have backing from official quarters in the state, came to the home of a former governor. The home of that former governor is almost sharing a fence with the government house, the most secure building in Edo State, is less than a 2 kilometers radius of the state police command, 3 kilometers radius of the state DSS headquarters, and 4 kilometers radius of the headquarters for mechanized brigade. Came to that home, fired multiple shots, and attempted to even access the home. Yours sincerely, and I'm sure Sheikh too was there, we both met in the same compound. Yours sincerely would have been probably hot if these guys had access to that compound. And I don't know who is advising the banderas, the cowboys running around in Ondo State with automatic weapons, trying to prove that they love APC more than APC itself. I don't know who is advising them. I don't know who has convinced them that anything might have happened to opposition leaders and in no less personality than Peter Gregory Obi, and Nigeria will remain the same as it is today. I think that by now, they must have had that come to Jesus conversation with themselves. They must have seen the reaction across party lines and across the nation, and they must realize that that was a joke taken too far. To the glory of God, no life was lost, and that is the principle. A lot of vehicles were destroyed.
So what do you make of the APC in Ondo State's response, the government's response that it's an internal party dispute within the ADC?
You know, they are trying to understand the ADC more than ADC members itself. The two individuals who are purported to be having internal dispute in the ADC, Chief Roland Owe, Senator Roland Owe, and Chief John Odigi Oyegu, were both seated in the event that was attacked. So are you telling me that they organized to attack themselves? So this individual, and then the ADC is not known to visit that kind of violence on anyone, not talk of itself. So they do not understand what they are saying. They know what they have done. We know ourselves in Ondo State, and they know what they have done. And I believe by now they should be secretly and publicly apologizing and swearing and vowing not to ever try it again. It needs to be mentioned that this governor too was a victim of violence. During the last governorship election, he was violently attacked at the Benin airport and he lost one of his policemen. Most of us came out to condemn it. Now, you have won him the big cap and he thinks he can do whatever he likes to anybody. So we are strongly suggesting and advising, and then I'm believing that the security agents will take firm action to show that Nigeria cannot degenerate into a banana republic. If they allow this kind of things to fester, no one has the monopoly of violence. We do not preach it. We do not intend to even, it's not a consideration, but people have to behave themselves. If you attack people, they will defend themselves. And that is my message to those who are running around playing cowboys in Ondo State.
All right, let's get the reactions of Mr. Igbe. What's your take on what happened? And I think my question would be along the lines of 2027. Now that we've not even gotten into the primaries, we're starting to see all of these play out. Do you think the 2027 elections will be any way safer, better, lack of disenfranchisement? And do you think we'll see something quite different from what we saw in 2023?
Okay, thank you. You see, in 2027, yes, it will be very well contested because the players who were on the same side apparently ahead of the 2023 elections and eventually find their pathway away and all of that are beginning to re-emerge in another circle. For instance, if you check the players in ADC and you check most of the players, they were friends with those players in the APC. Having said that, there is a very controversial, let me withdraw the word controversial, very strong personality, former governor of Kaduna State, who of course is now having an axe to grind with the APC, one of those who stood firm in solidarity with the current administration, one of those who even went ahead to engage former President Muhammadu Buhari, insisting that the presidential candidate must come from the South. That individual today is not on the same bed with the administration. But having said that, I think what the ADC in Edo is doing, my friend Idris, I don't know, but you know better. I'm happy you say you were in that meeting. But let's be clear, the only reason that we accuse the Edo State government is because of the commentaries made by the governor months ago. That is why leaders must be careful with what they say, because it has meaning afterwards. When the governor said that before Obi will come to the state, he must seek permission because he's the chief security officer of the state. That said, that will be the only reason that people can begin to throw accusation that it may have been motivated by the state government. But if you listen to Senator Owe, it was very clear that the ADC is already costing home to internal conflict. You can't take that away. ADC in Edo State must truly harmonize. I think that it is too early for a party that is want to build an opposition trajectory to begin to break out from within. If you suspect that somebody is being monetized to cause problem internally, then put it out, suspend the fellow, and deal with the issue and build political party. But when you use the narrative of, because when they got to the gate, listen to Obie's commentary. When they got, Obie said that when they got to John Oyegu's, His Excellency, John Oyegu's gate, they had a list of people who should come in. They had a list. So were those to come in. Was a takeover, was to accept somebody to a party, was it supposed to be held in that kind of close atmosphere? A former gubernatorial candidate of the party moving to a party, moving to another party, you receive him in that low level. I know, I understand. I've been in this game. I mean, I've seen politics from 1999. I know how they receive this top notch. They don't receive them like that. I think they are trying to shut down some doors, and I think they should deal with it internally. And that is why maybe the state government use the opportunity, if it is a state government that mobilizes those stocks as alleged, because you have DSS closed, you have SS closed, sharing border with, sharing fence with the government house. I know the terrain very well. I mean, it's not something that you describe for me. I know the system and I know the state. So I think very importantly that His Excellency, former governor of Ondo State, need to sit with Senator Owie and have a conversation and build internal force. They must not set those internal force out unnecessarily. Let me quickly also respond to the issue of, I missed that earlier, respond to the issue of getting them, restarting a fresh electoral amendment. We have been on electoral amendment process for 2 years. We were at the National Assembly for weeks protesting, calling attention, particularly from November of last year, calling attention for the process to be concluded ahead of February of 2026 because of the implication of 1 year notice to election of 2027. And I think, let me advise, let me not go into details, let me advise. For the consensus candidate, my earlier colleague had stated, where you have consensus and direct primaries, I think that's squarely a legal matter. The party should approach the court. Let the court quash that provision of 84, asking the National Assembly, who intentionally put it there to go and restart it, will be asking a dog horse to wake up and take it to somewhere. But for Section 60, I repeat, let us see Section 63 in the gazetted copy so that we can know that this is not another tax law. I think on that strength, both in, the opposition party has got the honors to build internal mechanism, internal structure, internal cohesion, and not put it in the public. I think it is too early. All right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but it's a conversation that we'll look to have again in the nearest future, looking at the fact that there are calls, repeated calls for a review. And like we saw, the coalition parties coming together. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate taking your time to speak on this issue. We'll go on a quick break, but coming up right now, we'll bring to you some of the biggest stories making the headlines at this point on Breakfast Headlines.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. We begin the news with politics. The independent, National Electoral Commission, INEC, has adjusted the electoral timetable for 2027 general election polls. The Commission fixed Saturday, January the 16th, 2027 for presidential and National Assembly elections. INEC had earlier announced that the presidential and National Assembly elections will take place on February the 20th, 2027, while the governorship and state houses of assembly polls were scheduled for March the 6th, 2027. National Commissioner, Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Arora, a statement issued on Thursday said the governorship and state houses of assembly elections will now hold on Saturday, February the 6th, 2027. In Nigeria's northeast, Benue State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum has assured residents that all ongoing projects under his administration will be completed. He highlighted security resettlements of displaced persons, reconstruction and social protection as the state's 2026 priorities. Addressing the first Executive Council meeting of the year, Zulum stressed the protection of lives and property as central to the government's agenda. News Central's Umaru Kirawa reports that the governor also praised the media for highlighting Bono's recovery and supporting reconstruction efforts. Zulum reaffirmed its commitment to humanitarian interventions, including the resettlement and rehabilitation of communities affected by the Boko Haram insurgency. The federal government has moved to enhance the nutritional quality of meals served under the National Homegrown School Feeding Program through a strategic partnership with TechnoServe Nigeria. Speaking during the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding in Abuja, officials disclosed that the collaboration is aimed at tackling micronutrient deficiencies and stunting among school-aged children. The initiative focused on integrating fortified whole grains and data-driven monitoring into the feeding scheme to improve the cognitive development and classroom concentration of pupils across the Federation, thereby reducing the burden of household food insecurity while empowering women vendors and local processors in the pilot states of Kano and Ogun.
Goes beyond feeding. It encompasses improving school enrollment and retention, enhancing learning outcomes, and promoting sustainable food system. We aim to strengthen the nutritional quality and diversity of meals served to beneficiaries under the program, enhance food safety standard and quality assurance mechanism, provide technical support for improved menu planning based on evidence and local food systems, promote sustainable agricultural value chains that support smallholder farmers, and implement data-driven monitoring systems to improve program outcomes.
The signing of this MOU is not just a formality. It's a formal expression of a shared belief that Nigerian children deserve not just an education, but the nourishment that makes learning possible. Together, our collaboration can strengthen food quality, food safety, nutrition, and supply chain resilience to ensure that school meals are consistent, are affordable, and are truly nourishing.
Malnutrition remains one of the most critical barriers to human capital development, educational attainment, economic productivity, and national growth in Nigeria. The program component focuses on school-based nutrition support, homegrown school feeding meals, snacks for thought, breakfast supplementation, micronutrient-rich menu development, and food fortification partnerships.
Vice President Kashim Shettima says the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, also known as Credit Corp, has disbursed over 37 billion naira in consumer credit to more than 200,000 Nigerians within 1 year of operations. The Vice President made this known representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he inaugurated the board of the corporation, describing consumer credit as vital to Nigeria's ambition to becoming a $1 trillion economy. He says the corporation was established to build trusted credit infrastructure, provide catalytic capital to lower borrowing costs to address long-standing cultural resistance to credit and is working towards becoming a $1 trillion economy. The Kano State government says it has commenced the implementation of its 2026 budget on education in a bid to upgrade the state's literacy index. The Commissioner for Information, Abdullahi Weya, disclosed this to journalists in Kano during a press briefing, saying the implementation of the state's 31% education budget has kick-started, while backlog of allowances in the state's tertiary institutions are already being cleared. He says the state government is determined to establish a conducive learning environment for students and is already executing interventions amounting to over 2 billion naira.
The administration of Governor Abubakar Yusuf had inherited liabilities of over 2 billion naira that has accumulated for a long period of time for members of staff. However, currently the sum of 1,155,235,585 naira 39 kobo has been paid as settlement for consequential adjustment and academic allowances, sewage, and teaching practice allowances and haggard allowances to both teaching and non-teaching staff, field work allowance, family air tickets, and promotion areas of members on professional cadre.
Now, the Foreign Scene of Afghanistan says it has launched retaliatory attacks against Pakistan following recent airstrikes along the disputed border, raising fears of a wider conflict. Afghan officials say forces attacked Pakistani military positions along the Durand Line after airstrikes earlier this week that Pakistan said targeted militants. Kabul claims more than a dozen Pakistani army posts were captured and dozens of soldiers killed or detained. And that's all on the news at this hour. Breakfast Central continues shortly. I am Benga Aboroa.
Welcome back. Breakfast Central is what you're watching. Time for the front pages of the newspapers. But before we go to the front page of the newspaper, let's quickly tell you that a prosecution witness in a trial of 9 suspects accused of perpetrating the June 13, 2025 attack on Yelwata in Guma local government area of Benue State, which reportedly left over 200 people dead and properties worth millions destroyed, has told the court that more than 200 armed men wielding AK-47 rifles carried out the assault. The first prosecution witness, Moses Paul, a team leader with the intelligence response team of the Nigerian Police Force, gave his testimony while being led in evidence by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo. He told the court that the attackers were allegedly commissioned and funded by disgruntled Fulani chiefs, who, he actually said, held meetings and pooled resources to execute the attack. Well, Paul also testified that he was in Apa, Benue State on the day of the incident when he received a distress call and was immediately assigned to investigate. Upon arriving in Yelwata, he said his team commenced investigations which led to the arrest of the defendants in Kadako, Agiregu and Nasarawa State. We do have our correspondent who's joining us live to give us a feedback and update concerning this story about the Yelwata Massacre. We have Sager Ibrahim joins us this morning. Good morning, Sager, and welcome. Thanks for staying here with us on Breakfast Central. You do have an update on this story. Can you bring us up to speed?
Well, Joe, the latest update as at right now, of course, is the fact that the case has continued. Today, right now, court is in session. Joshua Marai is in court. He will be giving us some updates subsequently when that is done. But then the revelations by the witness, Moses Paul, an operative of the intelligence response team, has flung the case wide open, of course, if you would let me put it that way. Giving us some insider details as to some of what transpired. He is an official of the Nigerian Police Force. He has been investigating this, and he sort of gave us some, back channel information as to some of what transpired. I mean, this is the first time in a long time that we have seen such information come out with regards to attacks in communities, especially particularly the reasons why these attacks had happened. When the Yelwata attack had happened, but prior to even the Yelwata attack, there were several other attacks in Benue State. You would recall that Ukum and Logo local government were attacked sometime before the Yelwata attack happened. Aside the Yelwata attack, there was the attack in Gwe East, there was the attack in Gwe West local government in Naka, precisely. There was also the attack in Kwande local government. Very recently, we were in Abande community, of course, the attacks that was there. But all of these attacks, something peculiar about all of them is the fact that they are described, the assailants, the attackers, as non-state actors. This is the first time in a long time, or if I dare even say the first time at all, that it had come out, revelations had come out to state the persons particularly responsible, the persons who sat down, planned strategy, and executed such strategy, and this is the first time that that is coming into light. That is what makes this situation very, very peculiar. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much for bringing us updates, Sagir. We hear that, like you said, that Joshua Imarayi is in court, and we'll continue to expect updates regarding this. Thank you for your time. Just stay well. And you look really prepared for courts today.
Happy Friday.
All right, let's now come to the front pages of our newspaper. We'll be reviewing the front pages. Remember that we're streaming live on YouTube, so please head on to YouTube to drop your thoughts about any of the stories that we're taking this morning, and we'll be opening the phone lines as well this morning. Now, joining us is our very own. He is the head of research and monitoring. Please join us to welcome Abdulateef Ahmed. He's head of research.
And I'm sure when...
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Abdulateef. Welcome.
When Sagir was speaking and Abdulateef was in the box, a lot of our viewers must have been wondering, who's this senator-like individual in the box?
It looks like wealth.
But I'm glad that you've let the cat out of the box.
bag.
Meow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's get into the review of the paper. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube, News Central TV Live. Hurry on to drop your comments on the front pages of the newspaper. The first paper we're taking this morning is this Nigerian newspaper. And on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper, the big story there says, INEC 2027 presidential poll to hold January 16. So just as we are shouting, Happy New Year, be arranging, because 15 days after that, it is presidential election poll. Electoral body to conduct National Assembly elections in January, governorship state assemblies February 6th, primary start April 23rd, 2026, Osun poll now August 15, 2026. Terrorists kill 5 worshippers in Kebbi mosque attack. Opposition rejects Electoral Act, demands urgent amendment. Exploitation. Airlines indicted over unethical practices. FCCP's interim report reveals how airlines exploited passengers, especially during Yuletide with high prices. Scarcity of day-old chicks, crippling productivity, poultry farmers say. Is it good news that we're having the elections at the start of the year? We talked about how the date was officially shifted due to it clashing with Ramadan. And so now it's officially, we're beginning the year, and before we can finish saying Happy New Year and vision board and goals for the new year, bam, straight to elections.
Okay, well, I'll start by saying that I didn't have any problem with us having elections in Ramadan in the first place. Ramadan does not mean you are suspending everything about life and then...
You have to go and queue in the sun.
Yeah, you have to go and queue, so it makes it a bit more exciting. But what is very clear to me is that there are things that ordinarily, as a Muslim, you should not do, be it within or during Ramadan or outside Ramadan. So you cannot have thuggery, for example. People will refuse to take bribes. People will not give bribes because these are some of the things that basically messes up your ritual activities during the special month or holy month of Ramadan. But having said that, the adjustment is basically because of the amended electoral law. I mean, we have to do things based on what the law says, and then the adjustment in timetables is just basically to ensure that everything aligns with the law. So it's a good thing.
What do you make of the gap? I mean, National Assembly, just a few weeks gap between, shouldn't he hold on successive weekends between the presidential elections will hold on January the 16th and then February 6th with when the governorship elections will hold. Don't you think we should be able to, and then we're going to shut down the economy for that day too? Have we not reached the point where we can have all the elections in one single day?
I mean, looking at how much technology has been infused in our elections, I think strongly that we should be able to hold, in fact, all our elections, the same day. The problem with Nigeria is that most of the time we have a peculiar case. In other parts of the continent, you'll see that when people hold elections, they even go about their businesses. It's not like you hold elections and you return home. Like the entire economy, the entire system is grounded. So we should ordinarily say election is holding, run it on the same day, and then some of the logistics that you will need to deploy for a second time will not, you will not have to do that. But looking at our population, again, 92
all you have to
million.
do is just print an extra ballot.
Exactly.
paper.
Looking at our population, about 92 million, but when you look at the question of how many will turn out to come out to vote, you're handling an election for merely less than 30 million people, and you're shutting down the entire economy, not once, but twice. It's not necessary.
What do you make of the newly requested 30 BG for the INEC boss? There's another 30 billion to be added to 873 billion.
The problem with our system is a thinking problem. It's not that of it's not money. It's a thinking problem. For example, between 2023 election and what we have now, what has changed? I mean, what are we going to do differently? So Nigerians want to see an improved process. You don't want to go and stay too long in the queues. You don't want to go and then you have the beavers malfunctioning. You don't want to hear that, okay, the results of elections are hanging pending on IREV. What are we doing differently? So even if you, not just 30 billion, if we were to give INEC 300 billion, my own question would be, what do you want to do differently? How is the recently concluded elections in Abuja, for example, different from the ones that we've had in the past? So it's not money, it's thinking. And we must improve how we think about our electoral processes. And mind you, the outcome of of an election is as important as the process. So we must carry people along. So if you still had about or less than 15% voter turnout, the question is, how much of voter enlightenment did you take on before the election, in spite of all that has been released to you? So it's not about money, it's about thinking.
Okay. On the front page of this Nigeria as well, there's a picture. You'd find the FCT minister with two of his sons on a condolence visit in the United Kingdom to condole with the family of the late Senator Mpigi. That picture has generated or has elicited a lot of, would you say bad blood? People are saying, why travel with taxpayers' money and go with the entire family? The question is, was he going as an FCT minister, or he was going as a friend and family friend? And that's a different conversation. Well, let's look at this one. Terrorists kill 5 worshippers in Kebbi mosque attack. Before you respond to some of these stories, let's go straight and take Lenny, who's calling us all the way from the Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and share with us what your thoughts are concerning the stories that we have here on the front pages.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I just want to be very quick. I don't know. I want to get what the problem of Nigerian Senate is. First, INEC came out to say that over 90% of our polling units are connected to internet. They debunked that this and they said it's a lie that Nigeria doesn't have internet. Blah, 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 blah. Now, they came out again yesterday to give INEC again 30 billion, to add 30 billion. Is it that these Nigerian senators are doing the work of INEC, or INEC don't, whatever INEC are doing, they don't know what they are doing and they want to do the work of INEC? Just make it make sense to me, number one. Another thing is that guy that tweeted this thing, something about Obi days ago, that guy has not been arrested. So this is the system problem of Nigeria. I just want to paint that thing. If I was the one that tweeted that thing inside my room, as I'm sitting here now, I would have been arrested by DSS by now. But that person is still tweeting somewhere in Nigeria here. Nothing has happened to him. Is it because that he's in the other device? Right? that is, he has some kind of immunity. Because people just do something. Like one of the your guests you said today, he said something. He said nobody is monopoly of violence. Nobody has monopoly of violence. If they don't do this, this is where it's started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lenin, for calling. Mr. Abdul Latif, I don't know if you want to react to some of the points he has posed. One of it is there was a tweet that circulated. I don't know if we still have that tweet. After Peter Obi and other APC members had their cars attacked, as it were. And there was this negative tweet, and he's saying that the DSS or the security agencies have not apprehended the person with that, the owner of that Twitter
The person said something in the line of, Obi is lucky that he survived this attack, that he hears that Obi is going to River State next, and he should not worry that his boys will handle it, something in that line.
So I expect the state security to pick up that young person. But let's assume that they have not seen it. Let a formal complaint be lodged to them. Hold on. And then let's see, because sometimes people can pretend, to
be someone else.
Exactly. So let's assume they have not seen it. A formal complaint should be lodged, and then let's see what they do. It's clear that when you see something that is clear danger to the society, you just overlook it, and then when something really dangerous happens to this same person, you'll be looking for scapegoats and then trying to treat these issues as if they are non-issues. Nobody should threaten any presidential or even any politician, out there. But you see these threats every day. They come in different forms. Some they come as mockery. Some they come as real threats. But it is the function of it's the job of the DSS to pick up such a person and say, what do you know? What do you intend to do? And why this statement, is punishable by law.
Still on the front page of this.
Let's just take a look at the tweet, Benga. Engineer Tom Steve P. Fisser says we want to be against his entrance into Ondo State, but he mistook our resolve to his obedience online noise. Thank his stars he survived this one. I learned he's going to my River State. He said my River State, no wahala. Now my men go handle that one, and they know they miss target. Speak no peace, and then he goes on to abuse him and says wish him no long life, for he's destined to die.
A private investigator on Twitter did reveal the
identity. It's not even hard. This person is a verified page, and I believe that if you're verified, they would have your ID.
Okay. The person yesterday did reveal the identity of the individual behind this page. It's a man, and said, over to you, DSS.
Oh, really? I think we should have gotten that as well.
Work's done halfway.
All right, let's get to Delta State. Kingsley is calling from Delta State. Good morning, Kingsley. Kingsley, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, please go ahead.
I wanted to ask Kingsley if he was aware of that tweet.
The INEC.
But it's fine.
Why did they do the governorship first before the presidency?
Okay.
And why the presidency first before the governor?
That's a valid question.
That's what I want to ask.
All right. Thank you very much.
So why not the other way?
Does he have political implications?
Well, for some watchers, they know that what's most at stake in Nigeria's election is the presidential election.
Because after the last one, we had the governorship, and that was what made them realize that Obi is not joking, though. And everybody put their houses in order.
Presidential elections came first.
Okay.
Before the governorship.
They started issuing threats and,
but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's just that some political permutations can happen if elections favor governors in a certain way, and then the presidential
I'm of the belief that all elections should be done in one day.
Exactly. That's a more level playing field where everything is determined based on the ongoing sentiments, the choices of the people, as against you having to tweak the political landscape after results are halfway out.
Now let's look at another story on the front page of this Nigeria. Terrorists kill 5 worshippers in Kebbi Mosque attack. Another day, another report of killings in Nigeria. It was Ondo State the other day. It's getting out of hand.
It's really terrible.
Is this something we have to live with? because the government doesn't even bother issuing or acknowledging some of these incidents anymore. And we're tired of condolence messages on top of the situation.
Messages, we condemn.
You know, we can even, we can almost recite their response verbatim.
What is happening to us in Nigeria is that we are so overwhelmed with some of these things that we leave everything to God. And leaving everything to God is not a strategy. One thing...
also hoping.
Yeah, hoping. Hoping also is not a strategy. These guys will do everything to ensure that they continue to attack, to kill, to maim, to mess up the polity. But one thing that is very disturbing to me is when you look at, you know, how the World War II, one of the things that was very prominent, you know, in the military intelligence at the time, was that they were not using, you know, GSMs, for example. They are encrypted forms of communication. Imagine what happened to one of the generals, the brigadier generals that was caught by Boko Haram members.
Very sad.
And then they had access to his phone. They had access to all the contacts of the military that were connected to him. The groups, the conversations, the mail. It is terrible. You cannot begin to teach the military how to communicate at this time. Now, you now have supposedly ragtag miscreants who continue to kill, maim. They don't differentiate between Muslims and Christians. I say this all the time. They go to the mosque today, they violate people. They go to the church tomorrow, they attack people. They kill in the Muslim community, they kill in the Christian community. Basically, they are creating an atmosphere where people cannot sleep with their two eyes closed. Now, it's now up to us to bring up a strategy. Now, these guys didn't come up with all of these things just at once. It came from a mindset, from a certain section of the country that allowed people to come into the country without interrogation. People came into the country, settled in the fringes. If you don't disturb me and I don't disturb you, there's no problem. But they are foreigners. They are not Nigerians. You should be able to question. But mind you, when you put people largely uneducated, when you allow people largely uneducated, what you do is to reduce their humanity, their agency, their ability to think out of the box. Why are these what do you call it, the miscreants, this Boko Haram and bandits, why are they more comfortable with a certain part of the country? Why not, Nigeria's flank around the Cross River side of the country? Why not on this side, Ogun Oyo axis, even though we know that they are coming down? But I'm saying that they became very comfortable in the northern part of the base. Yes, because basically in the north, it's live and let live. But if you see somebody that is not a Nigerian, you should worry, you should be concerned. And that is the same tactics the bandits, who are mostly said to be from a certain ethnic group, they continue to come in the guise of they rearing cattle. They come in, attack people, and they go out. You don't know which of the Fulanis. Is it the one in Sokoto, is it one in Katsina, or the one in Mali, or the one in Niger? So when people come into the country, you should be concerned to say, where are you going? Where are you headed?
That's good. Let's see if we have Nwachukwu. We should have Nwachukwu on the line. Let's see if we can take that call. Hello? Hello?
So we've been doing the same thing over and over again,
and expecting
it's not yielding any results. And that's why we decided to involve in what they've termed a partnership, the superpower, the world's most powerful military, the United States of America. How's that going? And is it the silver bullet that would solve our security problems?
On the surface, it looks
Or
good.
they are here to save only Christians, as they say.
No, so if you eliminate bandits and terrorists in the name of saving Christians, they are also saving Muslims. But that, of course, we know is not the intention of the United States. Looking at its history and how it navigates its diplomacy with other countries. One, it is suggesting, for example, that Nigeria should stop buying weapons from Russia. It should not be a problem that we're buying weapons from anywhere. We've had pacts with Russia, we've had pacts with Turkey, we've had pacts with Israel, we've had pacts with the UK. Basically, Nigeria is looking for solutions from every part of the world. The presence of America in Nigeria.
Exporting beef to certain African countries.
Well, so the problem with the superpower as it is, is it seems to want to dictate how countries should be run. And when you do not agree with what it tells you, its instruction, like a daddy telling his son, do this, then it begins to punish you. And so we saw that with other countries where it cannot forcefully control you. It could harm you diplomatically. It could give you sanctions. It could squeeze your economy through various mechanisms. But for us, we are fine with Americans being here, because if we've exhausted all forms of partnership and relationship with people across the world, and we've not been able to
see results,
so let them come in. So I don't have a problem with their presence in the country.
Okay.
Yeah. But we need a timeline of how and what they intend to do, so that Nigeria does not become another Somalia.
Let's see Nigerian Tribune. That's a paper we should go to very quickly. So many stories on the front page of Nigerian Tribune. Presidential election to hold January 16, 2027. Governorship February 6. Keep those dates marked in your calendar so that you know what to do, where to be, how to go about your plans, and so on. Conduct of party primaries to commence on April 23. So political parties will start their primaries April 23. Presidential NAS campaigns to commence August 19. Osun Governor poll to hold August 15 this year. The Tribune has all the dates listed. All you need to do is screen grab, snap, and save. NBC moves to resolve Edo-Kogi interstate boundary dispute. NEPEC, or NEPSI, like they call them, warns 50% post-harvest losses threaten Nigeria's export drive. But the big one is here. ADC NNPP rejects new Electoral Act. FCCPC establishes case of price fixing by local airlines to probe foreign carriers next. And then on health, new device detects infectious tuberculosis directly in the air. Abdul Latif, let's look at this one. EFCC operative testifies virtually in UK trial of the Ziani. That's on page 3. But I think we should focus on one of them, which happens to do with ADC NNPP rejecting new Electoral Act. Just 1 hour ago, or let's say a few minutes back, we had 3 guests discussing the significance of the Electoral Act. One of them said it's a waste of time, no need to go back, because we have not gotten the gazetted copy. I mean, you're a research person. You've been doing this for decades. Have you been able to research your way through to get a copy of the original copy of the Electoral Reform Act?
Well, I'm here to get a copy, but what I know is it is well intended. Intention that doesn't match action has no purpose, has no utility. So beyond, you want to improve things, when it comes to putting it to action, if your action contravenes the intention, then you are still circling, around the same place. So we should be able to say, this is what we had before. This is what we now have. If Nigerians do not believe in the process and do not believe in the outcome, you will find the same result, where people have, distrust in the electoral process, and that will, result in voter apathy, and then it will mean that whatever person emerge as a leader within the system is not seen, is not trusted, is not accepted, even if by law this person is the leader or is the, is the representative, as the case may be. But the majority of the people do not feel like he's leading them, because they have a mistrust or distrust for the process that brought him in. What would have happened before NNPP and ADC would reject all of this would have been that we heard their voices, in the floor of the House, debating the issues concerned, that affect us. But as it is, nothing clear. What I heard most of the opposition parties hammering on was just the issue of compulsory transmission of results
real time.
Exactly, real time or no real time. If you do not prepare for your exams, regardless of what time the exam is going to be, you're going to fail. So the timing of election is just to accommodate process, where your party funding, your appointment of your executives, the nomination process is seen to be transparent. And when it is not transparent enough, you are able to litigate, go to court and say, okay, this happened, that happened, the court has resolved it, so that we don't have hanging cases. You are done with election, and then people are still coming with pre-election issues that messes up the, the polity. Yeah.
Okay. This story is very important, and I'm very angry. Very, because it's medicine after death. And when Nigerians were screaming for protection, there was no protection. The National Assembly mentioned it as an issue of urgent national importance, and the aviation minister flippantly dismissed it. And trust, in Nigeria's typical style, you rather break the wall and keep running, and people pay through their noses. And now the FCCPC is telling us this. What are we supposed to do with this information? I'm talking of exploitation. This Nigeria. Airlines indicted over unethical practices. FCCPC's Interim report reveals how airlines exploited passengers, especially during Yuletide, with high prices.
Penalties should apply. Penalties should apply, and
no. Why did they let them get away with it?
I mean, two things. If they allow them to get away with it, the only reason why it will not happen again will be that they are penalized. Those that were exploited should be compensated. Nigerians have a penchant. I mean, we're even lucky that now we don't have to struggle for petrol in December and queues and
Thanks
all that.
to the Dangote.
You get. There has to be a fixing of the system every now and then. People should not be overburdened by the fear of moving themselves just because it is Yuletide. So if someone has done something, there has to be consequences, penalties, so that it does not repeat itself. There are no assurances at all that in December 2026, the same thing will not repeat itself.
Okay, I mean, there's really no assurance that the same thing will repeat itself. We need to understand what systems are put in place to it. Because during the Yuletide, everybody's, their hearts are already in their mouth. Traveling within Nigeria is almost as expensive as putting funds together and going abroad. It's just really sad. Yeah. I also wanted us to talk about, let's go to The Guardian, right? I wanted us to take some stories from the front page. Of course, we've taken INEC. INEC ignores Electoral Act protests, shifts 2027 elections for Ramadan. Over 100 terrorists stormed Benue villages, killed 150.
Wow.
Nestel's court. Let's talk about that story.
I think that's the Yelwata.
Yes, that's the one that
SSG joined as well.
Reporting for.
It's really sad. I don't know how we failed Nigeria. We failed the people in spite of supposed intelligence that was gotten. Why were these people? Have you realized that most of the time these attackers are never apprehended before, during, and after the attacks?
Why is that so?
I
mean, from your
explain.
research, why is that so?
I just can't explain. I don't know why, but it is very hurtful. It's painful. Now, there is no reason also that these people who are being prosecuted, at the end of the day, they killed people. They do not deserve any punishment less than being killed. Why are terrorists and bandits not being killed? Why is that not supposed to be a punishment? They caused us a lot of grief in the country. Entire families, entire communities displaced, people killed, not just adults, children, people who had basically no crime. They have no understanding of what is happening around them. They murdered them in their sleep. How did these things happen? And then now we are prosecuting like a dozen people. It was said about 200 armed men had attacked us. What happened to our, to our intelligence gathering, our system? Where are those other ones hiding?
Why can't they prevent this attacks?
Yes. So why are we unable to prevent them? And then even when we get them now, why are we unable to punish them, commensurate to their crime? Because that is the only deterrence that people will understand. You commit a crime, you will die.
Okay. There's at the top of the paper, we say that federal government insists on state police, awaits legislative backing. We're tired of the state police coming.
I don't know what is really happening about this.
No, you need the instruments of the law to back it up. And Mr. President has given the marching order to Senate President Godswill Akpabio to come up with legislation for this. And it says, and he also mentioned it during the investiture of Mr. Disu as a new IG.
Mm-hmm. But just before we go, Abdul Latif, another news that we do have the Adamawa State Governor, Fintiri, who has now joined the APC, which brings the number of Nigeria's political landscape in terms of governors joining the APC to over 31, if I'm right, or thereabouts.
Was it not in the Ibadan Convention of the PDP?
So
yes. Finally left
the reason why
that one is a past
left them behind.
You know the reason why these defections are no longer surprising to me.
Yeah.
They can even decide to be in the opposition. Their fear is losing their seats.
So that means when they clinch their seats, they will go back.
Yeah. So, but at heart, the governors that are yet to defect are probably even aligned with the APC.
Okay.
But
somebody are on their way out.
Yeah.
Second term.
Yeah, exactly. So they wouldn't bother. But someone was in PDP and galvanized five governors and stayed in PDP to assist APC, right? So one of the major problems with the polity we have now is that Nigerians cannot tell between the ruling party and the opposition What is the messaging? The lines are blurred. If they just consider these parties as vehicles to get to wherever they want to go. They can switch, rooms. They can switch rappers. They can, repaint their faces.
And they've
but
been there
it's the
before.
same person.
I mean, you look at a person like Loretta Onochie, who was a
very vocal
member of the
APC.
Buhari administration. APC. You need to see the way she's speaking now.
And now she's in ADC.
That's all on the show for today. It's been a fantastic week. I want to say thank you to all who joined us on Breakfast Central all the way from Monday through to Friday, which is today. The Breakfast Extra, which is the weekend edition, starts right away, which will be tomorrow. Up next is Jasiri. My name is Joe Hansen.
Have a nice weekend. Thank you, Ablatif.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Her name is Oliver.